Welcome to this module. We want to continue from where we stopped. We talked about a 12-volt solar panel in our last video. Here we are going to consider a 24-volt solar panel. We know by now what a cell is. This is a solar cell, and there are 8 in numbers here, and there are 12 in numbers here. If you multiply it, you have 96 cells. 96 cells. Each is 0.5 volts. And if you do your calculation, you have a voltage range. You have a voltage range of maybe 36 to 50 volts, depending on some factors. So this is a 24-volt solar panel. And if you are doing your system configuration, you cannot buy this 24-volt solar panel to use it with a 12-volt solar charge controller. Mind you, I made mention of this in our last video. And you, depending on the charge controller you are using, this is a 24-volt charge controller equally. And this is the reason this solar panel is called a 24-volt solar panel, because it will be used with a 24-volt solar charge controller and on a 24-volt system. We are having 2 batteries here. If you can see, we are connecting it in series. This is the positive terminal of this particular battery, and we link it to the negative terminal of this other battery. And when you connect it like that, it gives you a potential difference of 24. And we use it with this 24-volt system. So that means if you are using 2 solar batteries, you certainly need a 24-volt solar panel with a 24-volt charge controller. That is the reason this solar panel is called a 24-volt solar panel, because it will be used with a 24-volt charge controller and a 24-volt inverter with 2 solar batteries connected in series. If you connect them in parallel, it will not give you a 24 volt. So you have to connect it in series. So that is the reason we are calling this solar panel a 24 volt solar panel. But at open circuit voltage, when this solar panel is not connected to any load, it will give more than 24 volts. It will give a range of say 36 to 50 volts, depending on the intensity of the sun, depending on other factors which we will discuss in the course of this training. So that is the reason this solar panel is called a 24-volt solar panel. That does not mean that it generates 24 volts. It is called 24 volt because it is used on a 24 volt solar charge controller and a 24 volt solar inverter and a 24 volt solar battery. I'm repeating this for emphasis. And if you count the number of solar cells here, you have 96 in number. So a 24-volt solar photovoltaic panel generally consists of 60 cells, 72 cells, and above. If you count the number of cells here and it is more than 36, know that that is no more a 24 volt, a 12 volt uh, solar panel. It has moved to a 24 volt solar panel. So let's look at a 48 volt system. Before now, we used to have a 36 volt solar inverter. We used to have, but it's not rampant anymore. We used to have a 96 volt solar inverter, but it's no more rampant. So we are having basically a 24 volt solar panel, and we also have a, a 12 volts solar panel. So this is a 48 volt solar inverter. You can see we are having 4 solar battery here. How are they connected? For us to have a 48 volt nominal voltage that will at least power this inverter, we need to connect this solar battery in series. We need to connect this solar battery in series. We will talk about this in the course of this training. So you can see here, this is a 48 volt system, and you are connecting this solar battery in series to power this um, solar inverter. In that case, all you need to do is to have buy many solar panels. Each of it might be 12 volts. You connect them depending on the configuration you need. You connect them as many as possible depending on the rating of the inverter, the charge controller, and the battery. As you can see, the solar panels here, there are much. For it to adequately charge this solar battery, you need many of them. You don't need only one um, 24 volt solar panel. You need many of the solar panel so that it will adequately charge the solar battery. It depends on your design. It depends on the load that your system will power. Most times you see us use 8 solar battery. That is a design. It depends on the electrical load on the facility. So as you see, this number of solar panels, they were properly sized to take care of the loads in that facility. That is the reason you hear us say a solar panel can either be 12 volts or 24 volts. Any other thing you are having is the open circuit voltage. And if you need a 48 volt system, you connect them in series or in parallel depending on your configuration. Before now, we used to have a 96 volt solar systems. Is no more rampant. So if you're having 8 solar battery, you still configure your solar panels to charge the battery effectively. We are not going to dwell much on that in the course of this training, but if you come over to our master class, we will consider that. That is how we classify solar panels based on voltage. Thank you.